was interesting. I had a conversation with one of my clients this week who was working with me in Business Bang, and I actually think she was like one of the first 10 people who bought my original membership, the Professional Babes membership. And back then it was $59 a month. We had a community, we had heaps of calls. The work was amazing. And it's interesting that I can look at Business Bang that I sell now for $1,500 a month, and I can look back at that, and there are so many similarities. Now, it's funny because obviously there has been like a natural maturation of what I'm doing. I've become such a better coach, such a better consultant. The quality of the work is better, and we are thinking bigger. But it's really interesting looking at something that I would say is a comparable offer. And what I wanted to talk about today is how my business changed when I started selling things for more money. Maybe a little bit around like my process, why I've done things, my favorite word, the journey of some offers, what they started out, and how I kind of upped them. So for a few of you that are like, I feel like that I want to crack into a new market, or I want to charge more money for my services, I guess what I've done and how I've done it, and then what you can take from this as well. I will say, obviously, there is a bit of a process around this. Like if you ever came to me and we were working together as a client, this would be a discussion that we would have. We would also run the profitability on all of your offers. So we're not just assigning a random dollar that we think looks like a sexy number on paper. We know that we are being deeply profitable and that our business can sustain this, like that the money that we are going to charge for the thing really makes sense. So if that is you, join Business Bang. But my business changed when I started charging more money for my services, and it changed one within my bank account, one within myself, because it really anchored into the entrepreneur that I knew that I could be, that had this big, sexy business, that had this, I guess, like level of status. Like I didn't want people to look at me and be like, go to Peter for cheap shit. I did not want that model. And it has made me actually now have the ability to give back and do more for free because I am truly compensated for my time. I would say kind of like that Alex Hormozy model, where it's like, if you want to work with him, that's going to cost you. Then he has some slightly cheaper things with his books, and then most of his content is free. He is very generous with that. And that has been a model that I want to adopt. So it's like, if you work with me, it's at a premium because you get access to my brain on your business, my energy. But if you don't want that, you are going to be looked after with the free stuff that I have. It's interesting that online you always see shifts. You see shifts with what people are selling and how people are selling it. And there is a business model which makes sense for some people, where they are happy to spend money on their visibility, and they are happy to spend a lot of money on ads or a lot of time. And what they do is they will sell low cost offers and services and products, and potentially they'll have a funnel where it will lead to something that is like higher priced, but they run a volume-based business model. And I know for me, this is something that I didn't really want. I didn't want to feel like that me earning good money was at the mercy of a whole fucking stack of people continually paying me money. I wanted to feel like that my output was equivalent to when I made a sale. This was a really significant dent within my business, because I'm like, I've reached a point where I can charge for this. And maybe you're there too, where you know that you are kind of like on the tipping point of the next level in your business, and with that comes a price increase. And maybe you are feeling scared, understandably. I want to say that the first offers that I ever sold were $10 Pilates classes, and now my consulting is $1,000 an hour. So we are at a very different price point. So when I used to price things, what I would do is I would make the mistake of wanting to price things that felt like a good deal because it was then going to be an easy sale. And what I mean by that is, it's like, how often have you thought, let me price it at this because I feel like that I'm going to have to sell it less or market it less. This is just going to be a no-brainer. I've done that before, where I'm like, I know that I don't really want to focus on this too much, so I'm going to make the price point something where people will just look at it and buy it. But what we want to remember here is not everyone has the same impulsive spending habits that we have. It's like, I went to Chemist Warehouse before, I bought some nail polish, I bought 2, I've never tried it before. If it's shit, it's no big deal. Not everyone is like that. You are going to have some people that are going to go to a Reddit thread and they will read for 20 minutes before they spend $5. This is going to change your business when you stop pricing things as a good deal, thinking that it is going to sell and thinking that it is going to require less effort from you. This is where what we actually want to do is we want to ask ourselves, why do we actually not want to put in as much money selling or marketing it? Is it because we don't have the time to do it, which tells me your business does need a price increase? Is it because we don't really love the offer, which then tells me, are you just selling this because you're good at it, or it's part of an outdated version of you? Or are you just selling this because you think that if someone buys this, that then they're naturally just going to go and buy the expensive thing? It's like you're going to develop trust and then they're going to purchase the thing, which isn't always the case. Remember, people buy a transformation. It often doesn't really matter what the dollar sign is. Of course, they need a budget, but it's like the amount of money that they are spending, there is a direct correlation to the transformation that they are going to get out of this. I would see this a lot where people who are like, let me price this as a good deal and then I don't want to market it. And then they would try to sell the thing and then it wouldn't sell. And then they would end up in this like almost like little existential crisis with their business, being like, oh my gosh, but if I was good and this coach told me that all I needed to do was just add $5,000 worth of bonuses, but say today it's only going to be $7. Why isn't it selling? It must be me. It must be my messaging. It's just not, it's not that. You know, pricing is a really, really big topic. And talking about this now, I was like, I think we got my beautiful friend Emma from the Broke Generation on to have a bit of a conversation. So if you want that, let me know. And I think a lot of the time, what we try to do in business is we try to make our services cheaper because it's like, is this us not wanting to work on it? And what I would do here is I would be like, well, what is underneath this? Am I trying to add some ease in my business? Is that what it is? And I think that when we price our products at a higher price, you know, we are getting sometimes, and I'm conscious of the words that I'm using, but like a better quality client because they have really had to make a decision. And in that, sometimes they upgrade their identity on, I am going to now take this seriously. You know, it's why sometimes when people go and do those gym challenges, they work really well because there is a dollar figure attached. When they actually put that money down, they know, okay, this is my identity. I am the person that's just gone and spent $2,000 on this thing. Therefore, I'm going to upgrade my identity to match that. So what I want you to just get rid of is the feeling that the no-brainer offer, because I don't actually think that there is such a thing in business as a no-brainer offer. I think that pricing is very much a positioning strategy, but what we also need to do is we need to remember that the offers that we sell and the people that we sell them to is going to give us a particular result in our business. And if we go back to my goals system for growth, so we've got our goal, and in that we've got, you know, what are we working towards? What is our business model? What are our boundaries and standards? Like, what is the big vision? Then we have our offers. So what are we selling? Who are we selling them to? Then we have our visibility strategy, so eyeballs, and then sales. And it's like, what we need to remember is anytime we change the price of an offer, it skews our entire business plan. So, you know, if you want to create a product and sell it for $100, but you have a goal then to have $1 million a year business, you are going to have to move a lot of units. And because of that, there is not going to be as much of a personalized approach. And you are probably going to have to invest money in advertising and cut corners in things and use automation compared to if you were making $1 million selling $10,000 products. There is going to be a more human touch and element because you're going to have less people. So this is so much of a bigger conversation around the kind of business that you actually want to have and looking at the products that you have and asking, does this price point make sense to the business that I want? For example, I have a check on my desk to have a $620,000 a year. When I look at that $620,000 and I look at the business that I want and the goals that I have, then I can look at what I am selling and I ask myself, if I look at the breakdown of that amount of money, where do I want all of this money to come from? Now, my first thought is two offers that are a significant investment, and that is Give Good Email and that is Business Bang. And then around that, we have other things that are cheaper, and we've got consulting. So I've got like my speaking fee, or if I do a workshop, or my $35 offer. But I know for me, the life that I want and the business that I want, I don't want to make $620,000 selling $35 things. I just don't want to. Now, of course, I'm a fan of having a business ecosystem where if it's like, if they buy one thing, what can you sell them next? What can you sell them next? But this, before we actually look at pricing, it becomes a decision of the kind of business that you actually want to have. What is this going to look like? Because if you want to have high touch, personalized, you want to be able to have conversations with your customers, you are not going to be able to make up your entire income from selling cheap things. You are going to have to sell something that is more expensive. And this also gives you freedom so that when you are being compensated, you'll then probably be able to do cheap stuff because you know that your income is being made up with people coming in and buying more expensive things. Oftentimes, this is where I'll have a client and they may have a bit of a breakdown because they'll feel like that they have cornered themselves in this particular market, charging a particular price for an offer. And then they'll say, well, I don't know where we go from here because this is what I started charging. And this is where pricing so much is a positioning strategy. And how, if you want to elevate your price, this is where we would look at your brand and your business as a whole and ask yourself, is the reason that you feel that there is a disconnect with your pricing and why you can't charge more is because you are aware that your brand needs some kind of elevation to bring it up to that point. Like when I look at back when I was charging for Give Good Email, it was first released for, if you're a client, $4.97, or if you weren't a client, $5.97, very cheap. It was different. We didn't have a Facebook community. There were 4 calls and there was no other access. You got the course, you got the 4 calls, that was it. You figured it out. But I look back at my brand then, and could I have sold Give Good Email as a $3,300 offer? Sure. However, I feel that there would have been an internal disconnect because I would have felt like an imposter because I know my website was a bit dodgy and I knew that my pictures were old and I could see elements and I'm like, this just doesn't feel that there is alignment. So what I did, it was a gradual process to increase the price. And then with that, I then would upgrade my brand basically alongside that. Now I could have charged more, but would I have had to work harder? Probably. I could have really staked my claim and just launched this as a $3,300 offer. But I know within myself, I probably would have sabotaged this because I would have held myself back because there were parts of what I was doing that it's like that there's just, it's not a match. You know what I mean? It's like when you get a cord and you're trying to put it in a socket and you're like, this just isn't going for some reason. It kind of feels like that. So what I would say is if you are feeling like you can't have a price increase, ask yourself why that is, and does your brand need a bit of elevation? Do we need to kind of add a bit of that next level refinement? So now you're like, yeah, this feels really good. This is kind of a match. But what I did is when I first launched Give Good Email, I told everyone that this eventually one day would be more expensive. And this was not a tactic, this was fact, because I had so much belief in my vision that this was going to be something fucking epic. And what I did from here is I raised the next price to $997. So I told people, if you don't want to buy now, it's going to go up. So it was easy to do that with a launch where we had time sensitivity. And then after $997, I was like, if you don't buy now, it's going to go up. And we went up to $1297. And then I think maybe it went up to $1,500, but it went up in stages. And then it went up to $2,000, $2,200, and then $3,300. And this took me how long? 3.5 years to get there. So it's not something that I did overnight. And where this was really good is it gave my body and my nervous system and my beliefs the ability to kind of catch up and anchor into that new level instead of feeling like that I'm doing this in one leap. And I'm not saying that you can't do that. You absolutely can. But for me, it was nice to kind of show my clients where it's like, this is where we're going. And if you don't want to buy in now, we are getting more expensive. And to kind of do this in stages. So still kind of give people a chance to come along. Give Good Email is obviously a bit of a different offer because it is mostly passive. Like when you buy it, you get the course, you get the community. It's different for Business Bang where there's obviously a lot of me in there and you get calls. But what I very much do now when I look at pricing new offers, and this is something that I've probably done for the last, I would say 2 years, is I will run a profitability spreadsheet on everything that I'm selling. So even though we are in business and we don't really have an hourly rate, I have an hourly rate and I run the numbers on things. I will then have to make decisions on, do we have too many deliverables? Like if I want this to be priced at a certain point, I need to then look at my boundaries and make sure I'm not over delivering. What I do here is I make sure that I'm being compensated and that my business is being compensated. And this is now what I do with all of my pricing. But I didn't start out like this. Like when I had my Pilates studio, did I run the numbers? Fuck no. My strategy was just get as many people in as you can, run as many classes as you can. That was chaos that I would never inflict on anyone, which is why it is helpful if you can kind of work out what it actually costs to run your business and what it costs to kind of run your lifestyle and have these numbers. And then we want to make sure that this is a match again for the goals and it's a match again for the products that we're selling. I think that there is a bit of a mindset thing that has to happen when you raise your price. Part of this is you being okay with people being left out because they currently can't afford it, or what you want to charge is above what they are prepared to pay, or it's like above this energetic level of what they think is reasonable. You have to be fine with that. One of the biggest mistakes that I made is I felt like that I had to take everyone with me because I want everyone to win, honestly, to the detriment of myself. And the problem is when you do this is you also hold yourself back in the process of that, and you can be resentful of people who aren't kind of growing with you. It's like you're waiting for them to catch up, where sometimes the best thing that you can do is you need to run the fuck ahead. So when your audience stop and they look, they're like, holy shit, we started at a similar level and now they're all the way ahead. I need to run to catch up. So what you even may find is that as you actually elevate your prices, all of a sudden this lights a fire under their bum and they're like, I have to work with them now. This is just magnetic. The fact that they can charge that much, or that they're doing this, or they've had this much growth, I need to be in their energy field. And this has happened to me every time I raise my price. And then because of that, because I get clients that make this commitment where they recognize that I've made this commitment in myself, then they're more committed to getting their results. And we actually get, again, I'm going to say better clients, or clients that are really committed to getting their own transformation. So every single time I've had a price increase, it is interesting that I get people that are really self-sufficient, that can make their own decisions. They are happy to get the transformation. They don't need as much hand-holding. And this has happened every single time. And I think this so much comes from that when we price our offers as a good deal, as something that is a no-brainer, people haven't really put too much thought into things. And I think what can happen is the thought then happens once they've paid for it and then they're in it, and then all of a sudden their beliefs come up. And it's like all of the stuff that they would get out of the process, that they would get out, in the sales process, now comes out when they're actually bought the thing and the delivery. And when they're like, actually, this isn't for me, can I have a refund? Or hold on, I'm really struggling with this. And it's like they bring their baggage to the table. And this isn't everyone. This isn't every business. I am purely talking about how I have found this with my business and my clients as well. Where this has also been really helpful is I know now that because my prices are at a point, when I get a client, this makes a really significant dent in my bank account. Like, yes, I am so grateful for these $35 little sales and I fucking love them. I love them so much. But I know when I sell Give Good Email, I'm going to see this reflect really positively in my spreadsheet. I have a spreadsheet where I track all of my sales, and when I log them, it's so awesome to see this go up. That shows me how close we are to that $620,000 goal. And I love that. I love that they make these really significant dents. And that is something really good to remember as well, is it's like what we want to think about with our prices, especially the work that we are leading with, like our hero products and services. We don't want to just, and when this actually is so much of our intellectual property and our brain power, we don't want this to just cover a grocery shop. We want it to be a significant dent because we also want to make sure that we are valuing the work and that we are not charging pennies for it. Now, where this is obviously a different conversation is when we look at, again, my goals process. And it's like if you have a really big audience and you are highly, highly, highly visible, this is where you can take parts of your intellectual property and you can produce them for scale. For example, you can write a book. You can have something low cost that you're known for. You could manufacture a product, whatever it is. So something that can go out and service these people because you have the audience to then make the income that you want actually happen, right? So it's like we will get to a point where, fuck, I don't know, we get like 1 million downloads a month. And then it's like, for me, I write a book and then all of a sudden I get this huge royalties check because I have such a big audience. But what I don't want to do is put that pressure now on everyone buying. And this is another awesome thing that I think happens when you do raise your prices or you have a couple things that are a significant investment, is that you never ever feel like that people need to give you money or spend. It's like you never always look at people as dollar signs. And it's like, if they don't buy, I don't know what to do. Because for me, I look at my audience and I'm like, I only need to sell a couple things and this is really awesome for me. And because of that, I feel so much more at ease in my sales process where I'm not like ringing out a sale because I need to make this happen. Like I need this money. What's also interesting as well, sometimes you can back yourself into a corner where you don't want to have sales or promos or bundle things together because you've undervalued the work that you need that money. Where for me, it's like we can do promos of Give Good Email and sure, we could do less. We could do 50% off. The reason I don't is I honor people who pay full price and I also honor the work. But, you know, we are at a point where it's like, because it has been priced at a particular point, we can bundle it. Or it can be something where it's like we could do affiliates and I don't feel like that I'm losing money. So this is where, especially if you have not so much services, but passive products, and it is something that you are wanting to discount in future, just remember that we don't want to feel like that when we discount that we're losing money, right? That we're like, oh, I hate doing promos because now I get so much less. Because if that's the case, then I would ask yourself, how are you valuing your products with the price that you're charging? That you feel like that then if you want to do a promo that you can't. And you don't have to do promos. You never have to discount. It's your business. You can do what you want. But you never want to feel like you're kind of backed into a corner where you can't do fun and creative things with your offers and what you sell. So what I do is I will kind of have an idea for the offer. So it's like, we've got Give Good Email. I know who it's for. I know the market. And what I do is I will create the goal that I'm working towards. So if we're having $1 million year, it's like, okay, this is how I want my life to look. This is how much I want to make. I have a clear vision for this and how it's going to happen. And then when I go to the offers, this is where you will know that you need to increase your price or potentially bring in something that's a bigger spend when you look at what you're selling and what your goals are and how you want to show up in your business. And you ask yourself, is there a disconnect? So for example, let's pretend that you are a service provider, you're a social media marketer, and you are currently selling retainers and you want to make $500,000 a year and you are charging $2,200 a month for your retainers. But where this adds another fun element is that you want to have Fridays off and that you want to not work after school hours. Because you are trading time for money, you're going to get to a point where it's like you can only have so many clients. And this could be really good for you to work out. It's like, how many clients can you have? Like when we look at, you know, your week, your month, we also want to remember about having a bad days business model so that we can't always be working because our kids get sick, we don't feel like working, we want to go away. Where is our cap? And you may find that this is the disconnect where you're like, shit, I'm trying to earn this much money, but currently I can only earn this much with the prices that I have and the offers that I'm selling in my offer suite. This is where you could be like, okay, cool, I could hire. Okay, cool. That's going to take money out of your business because now you're going to have to pay someone. Do you want to do that? Is this aligned with the goal that you want? Do you want staff? Do you want to be a leader? You may be like, no, I don't want that. Okay, awesome. Then we have to look at what we're selling. Now, what we want to remember is that when we increase our prices, this obviously can change the market that we're selling to. So a small business will pay $2,200 a month for social media marketing. They will not pay $20,000 a month because they may not even be earning $20,000. So this is where you get to be like, cool. do we create a different tier for a different client? Or do we change what we are doing and package it up so the transformation happens in a shorter space of time? And then because of that, we can charge a surcharge. When you think about it, when you get your electricity connected, if you move in and you need it done that day, that's a rush job. They charge you a fee for that. It's like if you want printing, rush job, they charge you a fee for that. And it's because anytime you want transformation in a very, very, very short space of time, you have to pay for that. So this is where you could be like, okay, cool. Well, if I'm charging $2,200 a month for this, what would it look like for me to have a $2,200 a day offer? Get curious about that. And then this is where it's like, okay, cool. That feels achievable. What would it look like for $2,200 half a day? And this is not about you communicating that this is a half a day. You can just say that this is done in a day, but you have that back end infrastructure where you know that you can do this in 3 hours. You probably can have 2 other clients that you're working on with your usual retainer in the afternoon. And now all of a sudden, you really can knock, say, 2 of these over in a day for $4,400. You think about it, it's like you don't need to add that in knowing that you have that energetic space that you need to hold for that whole month. Your business has just gotten a bit more profitable. And what I would say here is I would play around with this. And what you may find is you're like, oh yeah, this actually feels really easy. Why am I charging $2,200? This is amazing. They're getting my intellectual property. They're getting a short transformation, tight turnaround, expert advice. Let's double the price. This feels really good. And this is where you'll hear consultants talk about things of value-based pricing, where it's like they will price so much on the transformation, not you trading time for money. So it's not, well, if I charge $80 an hour and I work for 4 hours, then why did I pick something so hard? If I charge $80 an hour and I've worked 2 hours, then I'm going to get paid $160. It's like, well, I may be working for 2 hours, but this 2 hours could make this person $1 million. So what I'm going to do with this particular package is I'm going to charge $10,000 for that, because we're not looking at the time expenditure. We are actually looking at the transformation that we are giving. This is also where you need to be able to communicate this, and you have to be able to sell the value, and you have to be able to get people to understand the value and what they're getting. This is where I have had people say, Give Good Email is so expensive. I can't believe that it's $3,300. And I'm like, we've had people make $1 million from this course. We have had people make their investment back in one campaign. If you do the work, you'll make it back in a month. Like, you just will. You won't have to hire as many people. I could come up with 3 pages of everything that you will get out of this. So this is where you need to make sure that when you have your prices at a particular point, you are so strongly anchored into why you can charge this, how you can charge this, and how you are incredible. You are going to have people in your audience that just love spending money and they love buying expensive things. It's really interesting that the client that I was talking about when we first started the call, I said, you need to do a photo shoot, you got to get some pictures. And she was so hesitant. And the funny thing was, I recommended this photographer to her and I said, you need to work with Steppa. She is a babe. You'll love her. And we looking at her offers and she's like, I'm just going to buy the big pack. And I said, this is so funny to me that you were so photo shoot hesitant and now you're like, I'll just go and buy the big pack. And she's like, because I just don't want to do this again. I want to do it once. I want it done right. I want heaps of stuff. And this is where you could have people that are looking in your suite of offers that are looking at a particular transformation that they just don't see. This is where what you can do, especially if you are someone that is sending out proposals to people. So you get a client, they come in, you have a meeting, and then you pitch them options. This is where you could put in something that feels stretchy that you want to kind of try on. So if we're looking at that $2,200 a month retainer, maybe you're like, well, you know what would also be good? I do have this idea for this 2-week project and it's $12,000. Chuck that in as one of the options. This tip I learned from Alan Weiss, which I call him as Daddy Alan, and he has multiple different books. He got so many books. I don't know if it's like 7-figure consulting. Okay, I think it's the Consulting Bible. Is it that? No, it's not that. I'm lying. Okay, here we go. No, it is. It's the Consulting Bible. How to launch and grow a 7-figure consulting business. And I learned how to create a proposal from him. And this is the formula that I follow. I've condensed mine down a little bit, but he says to give 3 options. All the options have to meet the client's needs and what they're coming to you for. But, he said that you can put in something bigger. And this is what I do, is I will put the big offer in there, which also then cements that the thing that they probably will end up buying is a very good deal because they're not spending, something that's twice or 3 times as much money. So that is a book that I would recommend. He's got multiple different books as well. Something probably for the people that are the service providers in the room that are selling services, especially in the B2B space. I thoroughly recommend his books. They can be a bit disjointed to listen to on Audible because the man speaks in facts. There's not really a lot of padding. So I would recommend getting the books. So what we can think about here is I want you to think about the business that you want to have and who you are growing into. And then ask yourself, am I holding my pricing back because potentially the person that I know that I could be is not being conveyed in what I'm doing? And what I would say there is cool, make a plan and then make a plan within your brand. So get a new website or give it a revamp, spend some time on that, add some like cohesion. So it doesn't look like you're using 73 different fonts, do a photo shoot, like really level things up because that's going to help you if you are feeling a bit wobbly to be like, well, I've got a shit hot brand and we've got shit hot prices. Like you're going to work with me and you're going to pay good money, but you get to work with this shit hot babe. That's the first thing. The second thing is, what are you actually undercharging? Because you are still working out on how much time this is costing you and taking you, and not the value that you are giving, the lasting value and the lasting transformation. So where are you undercharging there? And then get really clear on like what your pricing as well is communicating without you even communicating it. So if you are charging $25 for something, do you think that that's communicating that this person is going to get they're going to get a solution? Or do we think that they're thinking, oh, this is going to be a crumb and then I'm going to be upsold something? I don't know if I want to do that. I just want to pay and get everything over and done. I don't want to go through this and then I've got another level and then another thing. I don't want to do that. So this is where you can do an audit on everything that you are selling. Run the profitability of your offers. Make sure that you are profitable. We are not in business to be a fucking charity. You are not a charity. You are here to make money. And I know some of you may have a block with that. I don't want to charge. You have to get over that because when you have overflow and you have true overflow. So you are so compensated. Your business is amazing. You can do whatever the fuck you want with that money. You literally can go and just give it away. You can send it to any charity. You can run your own scholarships. You can do whatever you want. Okay. Or you could even have a business model like me where you are like, we earn good money. Let's pump out the free content. Like, let's truly give back. The only thing that you pay is with your attention. Let's do that. And I want to say that I was so inspired by this from my unofficial mentor, Brooke Castillo, who has the Life Coach School podcast. And she sells expensive things. And then she has her incredible, incredible podcast that changed my life when I listened to it. So hot stuff. I hopefully have given you some things to think about. Potentially not a tangible episode in the way that you are going to go and have like a multi-step process of what you do, because, I will say that's really working with me, but it is going to give you some things to think about and maybe get you to see where you have been limiting yourself with your pricing and trying to make a business model work that doesn't really fit you because you don't want this volume approach. You want something where you have less customers, you get to really personally serve them. So hopefully there's been some insights. As always, come find me on Insta. Let me know about it. And let's leave this here. Hot stuff. I love this. I love you. I love you more than my little snacky snack that I'm about to have. I recorded a Monday mindset one before this, and I said that I was going to go and get a cheeky little double decaf espresso. And I didn't go and do that because then I got chatting. And then I'm like, I need to do this podcast while I'm still fresh. So your girl hasn't had lunch. It's 3:35. So I'm so excited to have a little sexy something to eat, a little non-coffee kind of coffee. We love that. The vibes in the office are good today. It's just man central. There's men everywhere. And I'm like, why are you here? Why? It's the weekend. What's this about? But I love that. I'm not even in the runway to ovulation. I think I was ovulating on Friday. So that's why clearly we're focusing on some men. What do I love you more than? I love you more than, okay. Do you know what's really fun is when you have someone from your past come back, not come back, but you're still talking to them and they are drunk or not drunk. They are tipsy or they've been drinking and they think of you and they message you. And it's like, oh, I love that I am on your mind. My ego is obsessed with that. So I love you more than that. That happened to me on the weekend. It was very good. It was nice to be thought about. It was then nice for me to think about things that we have done together, which we are not going to go into because it's a business podcast and you don't really want to know my personal life. I feel like that is a separate podcast. that maybe one day I will start, but for now, the brakes are on. So I love you more than that. I love you more than my beautiful mum for updating me about my soup and where this is at and where I can buy this. I am really big on, like, remember, I used to have a vegan food blog, so I check the ingredients in everything. I like when I buy something that it's not filled with fucking numbers and a whole heap of stuff. I'm not really into that. And I remember finding this brand at Oliver's Real Food. It's Yalla. Yalla? Yalla. And I've been buying their soup and it's delicious. So I had last night, it was their vegetable and white bean with kale soup. I know some of you are like, that sounds hideous. It was delicious. And you know what I did with it? I heated it up and I had some really good parmesan and I just put that on top and it was sensational. I could just eat this for every meal. And I bought another one. I bought, what was it? Why can't I find it? Oh, chicken and white bean soup. You know, it is lower in calorie. There's not as much protein as there could be. So feel free to like pimp that up and do what you want with it. But you know, sometimes I will just be at home and I will want something, but I don't know what I want. I want like a hot snack or I just want to eat. And I love soup for that. Especially it has to have a cheese, has to have the parmesan cheese. So I'm excited for that. It's so funny because I don't have it here and all I want is this soup. And I'm like, how weird is it that I am craving a bowl of soup? Like if you are like, would you rather have sex with John Hamm or the soup? I'm like, can we please start with the soup first? Thank you so much. So I love you more than my strange little addiction at the moment. And I love how shiny my hair looks. I don't know. It does. Maybe it's not going to come out like this when we do some little post-production, but you can see the window like kind of reflect off it. It just looks shiny. It looks healthy. It's feeling good. It's feeling lush as it can be because we are due for a wash, but I still look good. I still look good and I love that. Hot stuff. I love this. I love you. Mwah, 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 mwah. Go make some cash. Go make your money. Be sexy. Go forth. Be hot. Do all of the things. Get paid. Get laid. And I'll see you on the next episode.